So what I'm holding here is a solid square rod of wire. This is a 4x4 rod, and I had no real goal or objective for this build other than get it into a ring shape and go from there. So I start to bend the rod with my hands and then aided with a hammer. It starts to get a little harder to shape being thick metal, so I anneal it and make it softer. After annealing, I can relatively easily bend it with my hands before attempting to use a mandrel and then use some round pliers. Anneal the item again, and continue bending and annealing until it makes a rough ring shape. I go ahead and trim off the excess. And use a mandrel to split the overlap. With a metal hammer I flatten it, and then trim the inside ends in order to make room for a stone. After closing it slightly, I place a stone I found inside. It's a chrome tourmaline and it fits pretty snug. Next I burr out a slot for the stone to fit into. In order to get the stone in, I place the pendant on a mandrel and push down to force it open, and once there's enough room I place the stone and slowly remove the pendant from the mandrel. Sadly, I didn't quite place it correctly on my first attempt and there's a small chip on the stone. It's not the end of the world, I can quite simply get another one once this whole lockdown business is over. Now that I know it fits and it's tight, I find something to fit a chain onto. And so I salvaged this part from an old silver pocket watch and intend to solder it to the top. But first I need to fill in the hole at the top here, and do this by packing chunks of silver and soldering it in. Once the hole is packed, I file the bottom and solder it to the top of the pendant. Once soldered, I tidy it up with a file and cylinder burr. So now all the soldering is done and it's in its final shape, so I can go around and file the entire pendant, making sure everything is level. Once everything is level, I go over it with some emery paper to buff out the file marks, as well as clean up the inside. The only other thing I need to do is drill out a hole for the chain to fit through. Once drilled, I burr it out because the drill wasn't quite straight, so this helps straighten it out. With the hole drilled and burred, I start polishing, starting with triple E. I use a steel pendant wheel to clean up the setting for the stone, and then finish up with a polish with rouge. Once polished, I reset the stone the same way I done earlier. And there you have the making of a silver tension pendant. Once I'm able to, I'm going to buy a new stone of the same dimensions. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.